Hello everyone, I'm Rob Smith for T3 Live's market wrap up here on a Friday. And so let's take a look what we have going on. Obviously we've had some trouble in the old market lately, but for the S&P Spider, here you can see we now have an outside day. We spiked lower in the morning, took out yesterday's highs, and then backed off just a little bit. And if you can see here, what we're looking at to close out the week. Basically, my belief is that we trade in a series of broadening formations, and even these old ones here matter. You can see right down to this line, coming down here and trying to hold some sort of support. An outside day, though. We'll see if there's going to be something to build on. We've got a short week coming up with Thanksgiving, so there was no shortage of volume, I'll tell you that, especially with Apple. But let's take a look at the longer-term SPY here for the ending out the week. And I've talked about the broadening formation up in here where it tried to extend and come down. And what's important about that is that the original triangle here tried to extend and then comes back in. And you can see these lows into here. I like to look at the apex of a triangle as an equilibrium point, and we broke a little bit below that. But like I said, we're at the bottom of the daily broadening formation. So to start off next week, we'll see how it acts against this dropping line and which side of this outside day we can go to. Now we're toward the higher end, and the important part about an outside day is I also know that that indicates an intraday broadening formation. Here you can see it here: lows, new highs, new lows, new highs, and now trying to get out of this. So we're going to see on Monday if we can get above this line here. We can expect that to be some sort of support. And unfortunately for the month, we're still this inside bar down for the month. However, we've come down quite a bit, and anything can happen on a shortened week. We got a little spike from news that Congress is going to try and work on this thing. So we'll see if there's any more optimism coming in starting next week. Obviously, one of the stories everybody wants to talk about is Apple. And oh yeah, hammer time! So if you understand candlesticks, today we got a hammer. Opened here, spiked down, came all the way back up toward the highs, and we had that also with high volume. Let's go look at the volume for you. Bam! Lots of volume, and this is the kind of things you look for when you're looking for a capitulation type of bottom. A hammer, large volume. Now, unfortunately, it's handily down for the month, obviously, but it's come down quite a bit, and this is the kind of thing you can look for. And unfortunately, this is a lot of area to try and play against and say I'm going to hold it against lows like that. And so oftentimes what we'll do is we'll look for a second indication that this thing's really turning around. Fortunately, first things first on Monday would be above today's highs, and at that point that would start to move it higher for the week and finally try and put in some sort of a green week. And once again, with the broadening formation here, you can see going into the highs there. So the question here, have we now put in something like this? So we'll draw it like that and have the daily hammer to keep an eye on with all this volume. That doesn't always necessarily mean just because it hits the bottom it reverses and goes blasting off into space, but you can look for further signals going forward. So outside of that, one of the important things that we're watching here is the transports, because what we've seen, if you look at this weekly transports here, this range in here, and although it's come down and tested this range comparatively to the Dow Jones Industrials, selling off like that off the top broadening formation toward the apex, you can see that there, and the utilities selling off like this, the transports have still held up, and they've come down a little bit to their lower end of the range, but not really falling apart like the others. So when we watch the monthly, really going to keep an eye on this consolidation in here. Now we got a little bit below the inside month and came back up by the close, but you can see this real tight consolidation here of months for the transports. And so I believe that's going to be the key on whether we're going to see further weakness in the overall market or if we're going to start to recover a little bit with a seasonal year-end rally. Okay, I think that's going to do it. As always, I make a weekend video for everybody here, so I'll be more thorough there. It's a good week, and looking forward to next week, and a happy Thanksgiving coming up. Everybody have a great weekend. I'm Rob Smith for T3 Live.